So in this segment, we're going to be doing a little bit on my hatred of NIMBYs. So this should be really fun because I hate NIMBYs, and it's not just the Tories who are going to get it; it's the two other parties as well.
The Chancellor made a big speech about growth this week. But of course, the national and the local can be in tension. And I just want to show people something that you, as Shadow Business Secretary, a letter that you wrote last week objecting to plans to build 200 new houses in your constituency. You wrote worried about the loss of trees and hedgerows, and it needs a proper audit of the impact. Aren't you and the relationship that constituency MPs have with the people they represent actually just part of the problem, because you put, sparrows and wildlife ahead of getting spades in the ground?
So the framing there is a bit weird, but a proper audit of impact. So those things, could take months, years, and what you do this stuff in order to, waste money. First of all, but you do it to buy time, so then developers look elsewhere to build, and this is one of the problems that we have here. And obviously there are difficulties around wildlife and things like that. But ultimately, we need to build more sustainable housing in this country. I would rather they do it on brownfield sites, so areas that have, been abandoned, industrial sites. That's the area I would want to look at most. But I think generally that's more expensive than looking at, green fields, which are just lands that are empty fields.
Absolutely not. And this is a fundamental mistake. There's a world of difference between, in a democratic system, people participating in a simple planning process, ideally a one-stop planning process, and people representing all sorts of different views, and then a decision being made, to what is serially happening, which is NGOs, detailed environmental protections that take years to produce reports, and then a legal system where people try and frustrate that legitimate planning system with years and years tying things up in the courts of appeal. So I'll give you another example. The A27 bypass goes through the middle of my constituency. Not hugely popular. I've been criticised for that. However, that is really important as an economic growth corridor. I've consistently supported that. I'm sad to say, one of the very first things...
It also depends on the constituents who don't like this as well. Some of them might be donors to his campaign. Some of them might be people who vote for him, or he thinks vote for him. Therefore, he wants to stop these properties being built because it lowers overall house value in that area. If there's more supply, it means their house prices go down.
Despite it being an oven-ready scheme, not an airport that's going to come in 2040, an oven-ready scheme, one of the first things the government did was cancel the A303, the A27, some of the upgrades to our...
So these are about roads. He's conflating two different things here. One is obviously infrastructure projects like roads versus houses. But, the specific problem we've had in the UK, I don't think it's about building roads. I think it's generally around building houses, because there's so much opposition towards it. Because, again, once people have their house or houses, they don't want the values to drop on them. They don't want to go into negative equity. Therefore, they block as much as they can in the area. This one's about an airport and a lane being built where Rachel Reeves is based.
Is it true, Chancellor, that just a few years ago, you yourself fought against an expansion of Leeds Bradford Airport, citing air and noise pollution reasons?
So that was in the pandemic when people...
So yes, yes is the answer. Okay, thank you.
...weren't really flying. A lot has changed since then, including how aeroplanes fly and including sustainable aviation fuel.
So, as far as I'm aware, planes haven't changed that much since the pandemic, which was about 3 years ago, I'd say. 3-4 years ago, right? So, I'd love to see how much aviation has changed, apart from Boeing planes falling out the sky. Don't quickscope me, by the way, because, we know there's nasty stuff going on with Boeing. But apart from planes falling out the sky more... and a lot of stuff going on in America with the aviation problems, right? I don't think aviation, especially in Europe, has changed that much. Now, I could be wrong on that, but, feel free to enlighten me in the comments, unless you're the Boeing CEO. I don't want to hear from you.
And as that evidence changes, I think it is right to look again at airport expansion. We've already, as a government, signed off expansion at Stansted Airport because we know how important it is to make sure that Britain is connected. But the changes in the way we fly are so important. Sustainable aviation fuel is changing the way that the energy intensity, the carbon emissions from flying are coming down.
So would you then support that airport expansion now then, if that's the case? Because you've talked about Stansted, which is in the south of England, Heathrow, which is in the south of England. I think where Reeves is based is kind of more the north of England. So, do you back it now? That would be the question I'd ask.
That's why I say that sustainable aviation and economic growth do and can go hand in hand.
People at home have been listening carefully to your answer just then, Chancellor. I think you said that you did oppose Leeds Bradford Airport's expansion because of air and noise pollution reasons, and people don't like it when there are double standards. You seem to be involved.
Just ask her if she backs it. Just ask her, would she now back the expansion? God, like, journalism, it's not hard. Like, asking good follow-up questions is not hard.
The NIMBYism, where you didn't want it close to your home, but now with Heathrow, you're taking an entirely different approach.
Things have changed, and if plans came forward again at Leeds Bradford, I would support expansion. But
okay, cool. Then why don't you build the expansion there then? The people don't want it in Heathrow. Fair enough, based in Leeds. Would you not want Leeds Bradford to become a big hub as well for goods and people to fly into? No, Leeds has a very good university. Maybe they could benefit from airport expansionism as well. More people going there. I just she's kind of answered it, but the fact that journalists didn't ask is crazy to me. And why aren't more airports being expanded in the north of England? Something Andy Burnham wants.
During the pandemic, people weren't flying, and the way that people fly has changed in the last few years with...
Has it, though?
The improvements in the efficiency of engines, and also with sustainable aviation.
I think that's all nonsense. I think someone points out, here, Ed Miliband spends our money on net zero, while Rachel Reeves promises growth via employing runway builders, ensuring Ed's plans are fruitless. And this is why I mean, like, you do all of this stuff around ULEZ in London, right? And, all of these policies which people don't like. And then you build another runway in Heathrow, which adds to the pollution down there. It don't make sense, man. I'm telling you. Last one on this. So we're going to be taking aim at the Green Party, because I was going to do a separate video on this anyways. But I kind of lost track of it. So Labour MPs push back against anti-pylon lobbying despite local opposition. So this is about the Green Party here. So the Green Party MP Adrian Ramsey has also campaigned in his Waveney Valley constituency against pylons, drawing criticism from the Prime Minister, since the pylons carry electricity from offshore wind. They're already planning battles against overground lines in places including East Anglia and Lincolnshire, with some Labour candidates at the general election saying they oppose the pylon scheme. So again, these are things where it will make energy flow through the country much more efficiently, building things like pylons. So again, like, I don't get it. Like, are they ugly? Yeah. Do you have to look at them? No, not really. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, for parties to be against things like wind turbines and then claim they are pro green, it doesn't make sense. And the Green Party have history for this. Green Party politicians who oppose solar farms. In some parts of rural England where support for the Greens has surged at recent local elections. And I wonder if that support is surging because of their NIMBY attitudes. The reality is more common. Despite the party's zeal for sources of renewable energy, some of its councillors in England have opposed solar farms locally. While these councillors say they had good reasons to reject the solar farms, their resistance sits uneasy alongside their party's national energy scheme, which envisions a rapid transition from fossil fuels to renewables. And this will be the Achilles heel for the Green Party, their NIMBYism. This is one of the problems the Lib Dems have as well. They're very NIMBY as well. They talk about being pro-HS2, but not in specific constituencies they might be able to win. A huge expansion of solar is needed to meet the UK government's target of net zero emissions by 2050. As the party government, the Conservatives bear the most responsibility for this. The Greens aren't entirely off the hook, though. Their decisions to oppose some solar farms shape our energy systems and give the impression that local objections have more weight than national emissions. And this is the stuff that really irritates me. You've got a Conservative MP here, who's part of a problem with housing, most definitely. A Labour MP here who didn't want airport expansionism. She's claimed now she does. Okay, let's see. If I'm Leeds Bradford, if I own the airport, if I'm one of the people who want the expansion done there, and I benefit from that, I'm putting that planning permission straight away to see what she does about that. And with the Greens, it's just embarrassing. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I don't get it. This will be the downfall of this party, their NIMBYism, the Green Party, and I want them to do well. But, if they're going to act like this, then cool, I'm politically homeless, because I'm not backing NIMBYs. They are some of the biggest scumbags in society, The only ones that are worse than NIMBYs are bad landlords. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.